Hey everyone, Super Fin Guy here. I've recently had a comment convo with a YouTube user named ProfMTH. I was subscribed to him because he had some good videos and he's an atheist. I thought, that he might had an honest head over his shoulders and might be a good subscription, But on the comment section of his latest video, I just found out that he's dishonest and phony, a top-notch hypocrite. So on the comment section of his video, I pointed out that legislative acts and statutes have no power on a human being or a natural person. That's based on the Black's Law Dictionary, from where the American law gets its definitions. Okay, so I started by, posting a comment basically that there exists two public types of persons in law, a natural one and an artificial one. Like, let me show you. It says right there on the Black's Law Dictionary. Okay, here. So this is a person according to the Black's Law Dictionary. A man considered according to the rank he holds in society, with all the rights to which the place he holds entitles him and the duties which it imposes. A human being considered as capable of having rights, of being charged with duties, while a thing is the object over which rights may be exercised. So then we have, the two types of persons. So we have artificial persons, such as are created and devised by law for the purpose of society and government, called corporations or bodies politic. And while a natural persons such as are formed by nature, as distinguished from artificial persons or corporations. And also I basically pointed out that legal acts and statutes don't apply to a natural person for the mentioned definitions. So here's why. Act, in its most general sense, this noun signifies something done voluntarily by a person, the exercise of an individual's power, an effect produced in the external world by an exercise of the power of a person objectively, prompted by intention, and you get the idea. So let's look the definition in legislation. A written law formally ordained or passed by a legislative power of a state, called in England an Act of Parliament, and in the United States an Act of Congress, or the legislature, a statute. Okay, so and it further says acts are either public or private. Public acts, also called general acts or general statutes or statutes at large, are those which relate the community generally, or establish a universal rule for the governance of the whole body politic. As we can see, when we are talking about the legislative acts, we are talking about the governance of a body politic, which a natural person and a human being are not. So again, as we can see, my assertions are justified and accurate. Then I get a reply from an ignorant, rude moron, and I tell him of his ignorance and that he should look it up, of course, as I am not hiding behind ignorance as some people do. Well, then ProfMTH comes and says that he has studied law and not sure what I was talking about. So here I went ahead and explained to him what I was talking about and clearly stated that it was according to the Black's Law Dictionary. Again, that the laws are based on. So then on his next comment he says that I have, quote, I have no idea where you're getting the notion that one's legal name represents a corporation. You're not getting it from anything in American law. Obviously he ignored the fact that I was referring to the Black's Law Dictionary, which is a book that every person or lawyer interested in law must know. So at this point we can see that he started acting dishonestly and in bad faith. And here already in the next sentence he engages in personal attacks and name calling, like calling my concept wacky. By this point, of course, I knew that I was dealing with a dishonest and phony person. So I said to myself, hey, let's make him showcase his dishonesty. On my next comment, I repeat to him that I was talking about the Black's Law Dictionary, obviously, and made my point clearer for people to understand. Then, of course, he comes claiming that I misunderstood the whole thing, even though with the definition I have shown makes it logically clear as a shiny day that I was accurate. So next, I asked him to justify his claims and assertions. Of course, I knew he wouldn't answer. I just made these questions just to highlight his dishonesty. So I made him very specific yes or no questions. And guess what? His next post is even more dishonest and invasive than I expected. You know, it highlighted his dishonesty more than I expected. So here he just basically says, hey, let's bypass that. And he continues with a personal attack, like asking about my agenda. So I answered him, to show my good faith, and said that my intention was about liberty, freedom and justice, and that the law indeed recognizes the natural right that a human being has to consent and choose, like taxes, for example. By this time, ProfMTH was in total dishonor, as in law, for example, and he was just devoid of reason. And I also pointed out to him how specious he was being. Then he goes further attacking me, not addressing the issue or anything. He goes on ignoring the definitions of the law and falsely claim that taxes are an obligation. Good luck with that, ProfMTH. Good luck proving that. And that if I don't agree with the government, I should get people elected with my views. That's an illusion. Good luck with that as well. In electing a bully with your views. I wouldn't want to bully people around anyways. Then here I point out the obvious, that he was being dishonest and ignorant, that he was running away from definitions like the plague, and reminded him that nowhere in the Tax Act, it says that people are obliged to anything. That is unlawful because that's slavery essentially. He should know that, since I guess he worked for the IRS. Well, check his videos for that info. And I reminded him that the definitions in the Black's Law Dictionary define the words that constitute the laws. Then in his next comment, he's in denial, that he hasn't called me names while calling me names at the same time, of course. Wow. So he ended up with more false and empty claims. And then when someone else got, into the discussion, like with an honest comment, guess what? He blocks me. Here, let me show you. See, here's the proof. That's pretty coward and sad. So he even goes ahead and deletes a comment of another user that knew I was blocked, along with his excuse for blocking me. Here's the proof. Oh, by the way, wow, from what pigsty are these people coming from? Wow. Another user joins in the conversation. He attacks me, and he ignores and distorts everything I've said, like ignoring that acts require consent. But the common law obviously doesn't require consent, because if you violate the common law, then you're acting without the consent of another person, like hurting, defrauding, or stealing property. Well, yep, people, dishonesty and cowardice for you. It's not pretty.